What's goody? Daughter's asleep, had to make sure she didn't wake up. So we are here to talk about the Toronto Raptors today, man. Y'all know this is my favorite team in ball, and I have not talked too much about them this season because to start the season off, they were pretty bad. We started the season off rough, and we started out 1-4. And actually, after that fourth straight loss, which was a loss to the Rockets, in which Colin Murray Boyles started at center after he had, I think, a good game the game right before this, but we lost. So then he brings him out. He starts him at center here. We have some injuries, and you're starting him at center against the best rebounding team in the league and the team with the tallest starting lineup in the league. And after we lost that game, I almost made a video just out of frustration, out of pure anger, basically just wanting everyone gone, including Darko Rajakovic, right? I was basically about to say blow the whole team up. But since that game, and I decided not to make that video because I think I ended up talking about like the Magic or somebody else instead because I was like, let me just give the Raptors a little more time. Since that game, the Raptors are 9-1, and they have now won 5 straight after beating Philly on Wednesday night. Now, I wanted to get this video out to y'all Thursday, but the NFL picks and stuff came out, and I just didn't record this video yesterday. I just couldn't find the time. But I went to that game. It was the first ever NBA I went to. If y'all have been watching the last couple videos I've put out, y'all have heard me talk about it. And even though my fiance and I only stayed for the first half, being in the arena allowed for me to almost just be more locked into the game. I felt like I wasn't pulling out my phone ever. I felt like I was just locked in. I was just sitting there chilling, and everything just seemed a little more clearer to me. It was like everything seemed a little in person. Everything was a little easier for me to see. It was like everything was a little easier for me to break down without all the distractions of the TV and the broadcast and everything like that. You just really get to lock in on the game. And when I was able to just lock in on this game during this first half, I noticed a lot of things about this Raptors team that I had been noticing, but like they really, really stood out to me here. And I think the first one is that this team isn't perfect. And I know this is a video about the Raptors praising them and everything for being 9-1 in the last 10, but I also have to be a realistic fan because when I watch this team, I do oftentimes find myself, even when we're winning, getting extremely frustrated because I see that a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now offensively just isn't going to work when it comes to the playoffs. And obviously, as a fan, my goal is to always want to win as much as possible. But with this roster, getting to the playoffs, I'll be happy, right? So I'm not mad at this team or anything like that, but I also have to be realistic. So my problems with this team, I think first of all, I know a lot of people are really high on Emmanuel quickly right now because he's been playing very well since his start of the season where he started off rough and couldn't hit a three. But I'm a big believer that Emmanuel quickly still needs to be traded. And I think a lot of that is just because when I'm watching him, he never looks like he really fits with this team. When I watch him, he seems like the guy where he's maybe like a super six man or something. Like I think that might be his best role, or maybe he's like your third offensive option on your team. Like if you can, maybe he could be like a little bit of a worse version of Kobe White for your team. You understand what I'm saying? So like Kobe White's like a borderline all-star MIP guy, but you understand what I'm saying? Like I think he's one of those guards that's like on that Cam Thomas type of thing where he's not an elite scorer, but he needs the ball a good amount, but he's a much better playmaker than Cam Thomas, so he's not in that same exact genre. I don't know what I'm saying. Basically, I just don't think he fits with this team. And I think that is something that sticks out a lot when he's not shooting well like he was at the beginning of the season. And I just kind of feel like a lot of times, especially in that Philly first half, and just when I'm watching him in general, I feel like a lot of times he goes too fast for his own good. And I feel like especially in the half-court we'll be trying to get things set up. And as soon as he gets blitzed or something, I feel like he tries to do too much. He tries to make a play too quickly, or he panics a little bit. And when he does that, it just never leads to good things. It always ends up leading to a turnover or just him missing an easy play. Like I remember in the first half against the Sixers in that game I went to, it was late in the second quarter, and he gets blitzed up by half court. There's 2 Philly guys on him, and I'm looking at Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes, I believe it was, both standing like right at the nail/elbow area, wide open. And you see Scotty Barnes asking for the ball, and he gets a little frustrated at the end, like as he should. And it's just like stuff like that I think happens a little too often for a guy that's my starting point guard, especially when I have Scotty Barnes on my team and when I have Brandon Ingram on my team, 2 guys that when you have the ball in their hands, you trust them to do good things either with scoring or making the right play. So it's like I just don't really love that when my point guard is out there, he's like the third guy I want the ball to be in his hands. You know what I'm saying? So that's not my favorite feeling. And then it's like if you're going to be one of those guards where like you're only the third offensive option on a team where you don't need the ball that much, or you're not going to have the ball as much as like a Luka Doncic or something, you have to understand your role, right? And I feel like he's one of those guys that tries to do a little bit more than what I think his role on this team really should be. And I can't really say that I blame him for that, because if I'm him, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, man, I'm making $30 million a year. Nobody on this team is so much better than me that I should just defer to them 100% of the time. We don't have a 1A superstar on this team. So I'm not even mad at him for doing it. I'm just kind of saying that I don't love the fit with him on this team. It's no disrespect to Emmanuel Quickly. He's not a bad player. It's just I just don't love him on this team. Um, and I think another thing that really stood out for me in that first half against Philly is that the Raptors just can't rebound. And the stats agree. They're bottom 10 in rebound percentage and in rebounds per game this season. And I think that's a really worrisome thing because we don't have a super tall lineup. We don't have a whole bunch of bigs. And with the way Mamu and Pirtle have been playing, they've both been playing well. For us to still be this bad at rebounding, and Scotty Barnes is like our leading rebounder, it's a little worrying that we're just this bad at rebounding, especially because while this offense has been good during this stretch, I don't think that it's going to continue to be top 10 throughout the rest of the season like it is right now. And I want to say that this streak from the Raptors just kind of almost reminds me of how the Bulls were to start the season, right? But I would say that we're a little bit of a tier above the Bulls just because the way that Chicago was winning games during that stretch was they would look bad for a lot of the game. They would be down 20 and they would come back and win by 1 point, or they would be up 20, let a team come back and then win by 1 point, right? Whereas you look at the Raptors, and throughout this 10-game stretch, they're mostly handling teams during this stretch. And it's not like they're playing the toughest teams in the league, but these aren't 1 point games that they're winning. These aren't 4-game winners out of the 10 games. Like most of these games, I think with the exception of 2 and then obviously the loss, were won by like 5+ points. So that's, I think, a little more sustainable to me than the way Chicago did it. And I think that there are some teams that this Raptors team does very well that makes me think this type of play is a little more sustainable than it was for Chicago. And that makes me think that, okay, this team is still, I was right to think that this team will probably be outside the play-in because this team is just that good. And right now they're sitting at the 2 seed, which is just phenomenal. Actually, I don't know about after last night's games if anybody moved up, but when I was making my script for this and I was looking at my notes and doing everything like that, they were the 2 seed. First of all, the Raptors, top team in assist to turnover ratio. They are a top team in assist percentage, and that is all something that I look at when it comes to how good your offense is, because I'm not one of those guys that's a big believer in okay, we're going to have 3 guys that can all ISO you. We're just going to give them each turns to ISO you, because I don't think that really works in today's NBA, and I think we've had so many different variations of teams trying to do that, and I think we can just see, okay, it doesn't work. So when I see teams like the Raptors, who are one of the best teams in assist to turnover ratio and are a top team in assist percentage, that makes me think, okay, one of the ways that they are getting these guys open, one of the ways that they are scoring so efficiently, and one of the reasons they are a top 10 offense is because they get defenses in rotation. And when you are able to get teams in rotation, it gives you more open shots, and that's a big thing because the Raptors don't have too many guys that you look at them and you're super, super scared of them as 3-point shooters or as shooters in general, or as even offensive creators in general. And I think that assist to turnover percentage and that assist turnover ratio, that type of stuff right there plays into this next stat, which is that the Raptors are one of the top teams in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage, while also being a top 12 team in pace. When you have the ball movement the way they do, and they are able to get defenses in rotation, it leads to those open shots, which is why they're one of those top teams in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage, and then they're top 12 in pace, because their defense is so good that they're going to stop you. And when they get that rebound, they're pushing it. It doesn't matter if it's Scotty that has it, who's a great outlet passer. Brandon Ingram can make outlet passes every once in a while, and Emmanuel quickly can make some outlet passes as well. So when they push it in transition, that also just leads to open layups, open threes in the corner, the most wide open shots you can get. And that's why they're so effective and so efficient, is because the way that they run their offense, it isn't all based on Brandon Ingram fadeaway middies or the toughest shots in the world, or waiting to the last 5 seconds of the shot clock. The Raptors are going to get out, they're going to run, and they are going to, if they can't score anything in transition, they're going to slow it down. And if you don't get that turnover once you stop the transition, they're probably going to be able to get you in rotation and get at least a good shot. But hey, if they miss, they ain't getting the offensive rebound. So that's one of the things about the Raptors where it's like different than the Rockets, where the Rockets are super efficient, not because they get the most open shots off of getting defenses in rotation, but because they get offensive rebounds time after time after time, and then they just kick it out to shooters and they hit it every time, right? So there's different ways to have similar statistical outlooks in the NBA, and I am a fan of the way that the Raptors are doing this, and I do, like I said, think that is a little bit more sustainable than like a team that has a whole bunch of ISO scores, you know what I'm saying? In transition, like I mentioned, the Raptors are a top team, not just in pace, but also on both sides of the ball. They're one of the top 5 teams, I believe it was top 5, maybe it was top 10, I don't remember, in transition defense. They'll stop you in transition defense, and then they could get out in transition offense. And I think the most impressive thing about the Raptors being able to get out in transition is they do it without being a team that forces a ton of turnovers. They're not a team that has 20 defensive stoppers. They're not a team that is going to get out there and force 17 turnovers a game like the Detroit Pistons or the Houston Rockets or the OKC Thunder. And yet the defense is still really good. The transition defense is still really good. And I think that's really impressive, and I think that's really sustainable, because when you have something where it's like your transition defense is only good because guys are missing open corner threes, or your transition defense is only good because you get a deflection and stop the transition. Like, no, the way the Raptors do it is they just get back and they body you up, and they're not going to let you get any advantage on that transition. They're going to make you get into the half court defense. Now, granted, their half court defense isn't great, but they're going to at least not let you score in transition. This season, last couple things I want to say. R.J. Barrett been playing phenomenally this season. Brandon Ingram averaging 20 points per game, even though he can't hit a three to save his life. He's shooting like 30% from three. Mamu might be my favorite sixth man in the NBA, and going into the season, I look at him as like a ninth man, and now he's literally our best bench player. So, love that. Scotty is arguably having the best season of his career, and that's playing alongside Brandon Ingram. And a lot of people have been saying this is B.I.'s team, and I'm still a believer that this is Scotty's team because I believe that Scotty's just the better player. B.I. is the better scorer, but I think Scotty is the better player, and I think he's proving it right now, and I think he has been the best player on this team so far this season, even though Brandon Ingram has been hooping too, don't get me wrong. And like I said in the beginning, just to wrap things up, I don't think the Raptors are a championship contender. I don't think the Raptors are a team that anybody should be super, super scared of right now. But for my team to be the number 2 seed in the East over a month into the season, or about a month into the season, is something that I did not expect to see. But it is something that I am absolutely loving, and something that I'm going to do my absolute best to enjoy every single second of. In spite of all the negative things I said and all the criticism I had of the Raptors, and the way that I was like, you know, they're good and they're doing things well, but it's just like, will this be able to last? In spite of all of that, what really matters to me right now is just enjoying watching my team be good, because I have seen very good rosters, 1-seed rosters, lose in the playoffs time and time and time again. So when we don't have too many expectations and we're exceeding them, I'm going to enjoy those times, because I remember the times when we had expectations that were getting swept by LeBron James. So, yeah. I love that. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching as always, man. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And always, always, always keep God first no matter what you do, all right? Yeah, man, move out of love in everything you do. And I appreciate you for watching this video. I don't think I had anything else to say, but have a good Friday, all right? Peace out.